This webinar is a part of our celebrations here at ECOMED, the Hellenic Film and Audiovisual Center, and CIFEJ, the International Center of Films for Children and Young People. And we're celebrating and raising our voice on media and information literacy globally. We have just got back from a UNESCO feature conference in Cartagena, where CIFEJ was also presented in a very interesting side event. And following our presentations in the conference, now we will proceed with the first educational webinar. The title of this webinar is The 3 C's in Education Through the Cinematic Gaze of Abbas Kiarostami. And I am Irene Triopoulou. I'm the Director of Media, Film Literacy and Heritage Unit at ECOMED, the Hellenic Film and Audiovisual Center based in Athens, Greece, and also Executive Director of CIFEJ. Let me just move. Before we proceed with the webinar, I would like to introduce you CIFEJ, the International Center of Films for Children and Young People, for those maybe who are not well aware about it. Even though it has a 70 years legacy, CIFEJ was launched by UNESCO in 1955 in Brussels and is the only international global network for audiovisual professionals dedicated to promoting culturally relevant educational content for children and youth. Using our 70 years of legacy and experience, we're committed to advocating for children's rights in audiovisual storytelling while ensuring diverse cultural narratives in the context of children's audiovisual media production and education as part of MIL. Since January 2025, CIFEJ is hosted in Athens, Greece, under the umbrella of ECOMED and the General Film Directorate of Media, Film Education and Heritage Unit. This year, we're celebrating 70 years of CIFEJ, a global legacy in screen education. CIFEJ was among the first networks, was actually the first network globally that spoke and used the term screen education to describe screen literacy, film literacy, and literacy outside of traditional alphabetism through the power of visual image. At first, screen education was used as a response to post-war film propaganda. We're talking about 1955, so post-war society. Throughout these years, CIFEJ has raised children's voices on screen, both through the 10 News in 1950s Italy Festival to the Global Kids for Kids Festival, championing films made by children, for children, and just by children themselves, offering a powerful platform for self-expression and cross-cultural understanding. As I said, we're the only international NGO global network on children's audiovisual media, and by bringing CIFEJ after 16 years in Tehran to Athens, Greece, we're relaunching, we're rebranding our organization, bringing it back to its root, to Europe, and also bridging with international cooperation, innovation, and visibility in the region. So this is just a short timeline of where CIFEJ has been located throughout the years. The HQ started in Brussels, then they moved to Paris, then Montreal, South Africa, Tehran, and now in Athens, Greece. One of the most famous fashion directors, Diana Brilliant, has said, the eye has to travel. So this is what we're actually implementing here with CIFEJ. We're using film education and visual literacy to allow children to travel globally. Film is the mother of all multimedia, and the concept of film as creative production is key component of the digital visual age and media convergence. And you can find film in multiple formats. It can be linear, non-linear content through video sharing platforms, streaming, etc. One of the most important key actions of CIFEJ is that we organize media and film literacy workshop. This is the first one of a series to follow, but we are also offering open educational resources, mentorship, and practical guides. And all these will be uploaded online in our online library, in our brand new CIFEJ website, which soon is about to be launched. Now, let's just share a few things about what is film literacy. It is an important element, a foundational element of media and information literacy, ecology. You can see here the ecology by UNESCO. And it is the outcome of film education, practicing film education in school, a new form of media alphabetism that use moving image, sound, audio, visual effects, and digital language, all towards thinking critically, expressing, creating, and communicating. When we are practicing film literacy in the classroom, we're actually encapsulating the learn by doing methodology, which is very highly popular in schools, especially in Greece. It supports better co-working space between teachers and students in the classroom, better environment, welcoming, gives space to social and inner reflection, fantasy and non-fantasy, non-ordinary creativity coupled with critical thinking and emotional aesthetic intelligence, promoting art and culture through special genre of animation, short film, whatever, towards an aesthetic audience development and screen-wise citizen. And as Kari Basalchik, one of the major media literacy theorists, has said, it consists media film literacy, a major school of thought. It is equally effective both in school and lifelong learning settings. The target audience of the three C's that I will introduce today is different according to the concepts we want to introduce, according to the context per se. Here we are talking about the target audience being mainly children and young people. So through film education, we're trying to introduce emotional appealing activities in the classroom that contribute to the process of meaning making while also provoking emotional response of the audience. And we're doing that with exercising some lessons with introducing exercises that offer this emotional identification. And it is a well-known tactic of all film producers to attract and captivate their audience. And short film, animation, feature films, they use specific production elements to capture and captivate this attention. This could be different techniques, color, lighting, sizing, the relative position of the objects in the frame, etc. Now, today we're going to talk about the three C's in the classroom because it's a very popular MIL methodology mainly applied in Greek schools. It combines creative, film, visual, and media literacy all in one context. And it introduces engage the inquiry model where we challenge students to pose their own questions about the content of the image rather than providing the answers themselves. It gives rise to group collaborative learning, textual, contextual, intertextual, comparative analysis with other media contents, and it takes elements from audience reception and media studies. Now you can see what are these three C's. We're talking about the critical approach, the cultural and creative approach, all implemented in the classroom. Let's just go through these quickly. The critical approach. The critical approach where the student is turned into content evaluator. So here we're focusing on meaning making through a critical analysis of film content, trying to explore explicit versus latent content, the formula, the standardized structure of the narrative, situation versus spatial associations, language choice, suggestive images, experiential viewing. We can also go on a deeper level and talk about contextual and intertextual analysis, where we can compare this film with another narrative in literature. For instance, is the topic of the film the same topic? Can we find this topic in another book? For instance, The Little Prince, the film, and the novel. Can we discuss and compare between different films of the same director? And we can also discuss adaptation to a different film genre and more directorial approaches. The cultural approaches is a second C. Is here where the student is turned into researcher. This offers the chance, the opportunity for the students to dig further and connect with the cultural heritage and collective memory of the respective region, country, to look for the film classics, either world film classics or in their country, to search, familiarize audiovisual archives, to look and visit cultural memory institutions, look for open educational resources, and also use AI tools to optimize for better research. They can also pay physically visit to archives, museums, libraries, memory institutions. So we can take this approach, the cultural approach, either from a micro approach, exploring about the film per se, or a macro approach, exploring about the historical context and the social correlations that are projected in this film. You can see here, this is a very rare Greek collection, animation collection in Greece that has the most rare Greek animation from 1945 to 2007. And this is something that we developed back in the time, but we can find it when you search online for the resource regarding the film. It is important to use short film in schools, not just a supporting facilitating tool, but as a mean of its own media language per se. Third approach is a creative approach. It's the most fun part of film education. It is what Nietzsche has described as happy knowledge. When we're film literate, then we reach this point of happy knowledge. Nietzsche has said that. And this is where the student becomes creator and filmmaker themselves. So they get to experiment with short film production, active engagement with all stages of development and production, and they can provide and imagine new ways of storytelling, and we've seen in action that it actually works. Students can give us very out of the box, non-ordinary approaches of the same film. This is just some animation toolkits that we have developed with the Greek Anima Zeros International Festival, and all this will be available through CIFEJ as open educational resources. Now, how do we actually work in the classroom? First, we need to be practical. So at first, we need to, the educators, if you want to introduce film literacy activities in the classroom, you need to create two folders. One folder with exercises for before and during the screening, and another folder for after the screening with more in-depth exercises and lessons. So the first folder could have questions about the storyline, the plot, the setting, the genre, textual, contextual analysis, how it is related to students' own experience, and this emotional identification we spoke earlier. After screening exercises could be further on the textual analysis on a secondary level, trying to explore the signifier versus the signified, the focal question, how the technical tools are being used to convey this meaning making, the aesthetic tools, and more on intertextual analysis. One specific exercise that you can introduce either before, during, or after the screenings is to talk about the main character. We spot the main hero, the main character of the film, and we ask students about their psychological profile, the social profile, and how this is expressed through emotions, facial expressions, what are their needs, their expectations, and how the main hero is located in the social setting, the family setting, and the patterns. It is important to spot not just visual elements, but not just verbal elements, but non-verbal elements such as the body language. This deeper level involves more questions about the image, the visual elements, and the sound, the technical elements. Here, we can also dig further on how the time intervals are being used in the film. What are the sequences, if any time dilations maybe, the pose of actions, what does it serve for, repeat actions, and also about the sound, whether we hear not just the dialogues, but there are silence, pauses, sound effects, animal effects, or sounds of nature. Now, let's get practical, enough with theory. We'll just watch a film by Abbas Kiarostami. I chose this film because I do not only we don't only recognize his global value and contribution to world cinema as unique creator and director, but Abbas Kiarostami was the first one who actually established the children's film and media center back in Tehran in the late 60s. So he was among the first one who actually spoke about the interrelation between children, film, and media. And also, he was Iranian. So we want for this, with this workshop, to pay tribute to our Iranian headquarters that CIFEJ was located for 16 years, and we're grateful for all the work done over there. So it is a great chance to celebrate his legacy and also the legacy of CIFEJ in Iran. So first, we'll watch a couple of minutes, just listening only to the intro music of the film. What do I mean with that? We just use a carbon, a piece of paper, a black piece of paper, and we hide the screen so that students in the classroom can listen only to the sound without seeing anything on screen. This is the first exercise. We hide the screen with a dark piece of paper, and then we divide the students in the classroom in groups, and we ask each and every group to tell us about what do they think the plot of the film is about, just by listening to the music. What can they imagine about the story, the characters, the narrative, the environment that the film is taking place, and what conclusion can they draw at this very early point before actually watching the film, just by listening to the intro music. So you see here the 4 groups we divide in the classroom. The first one focus on the characters, writing down some notes. The second one on the location, third one storyline, and the fourth group on the genre, whether it is a comedy, a drama, kids film, feature film, documentary, whatever. And this is actually the magic of bringing film education in the classroom, because it's based on subjective viewing. So there's no true or false in this exercise, because this is here where we challenge students to unleash their imagination, to unleash their fantasy, and imagine just by listening to the sound what this film would be about. So there's no right and wrong. There's no right way to read the media. There's only our own way, as late Elizabeth Thoman, media literacy theorist, pointed some years ago. Let me try now to see in action. Let me share the film. You're still seeing my screen. Don't know why is that. Got this. Okay. I stopped sharing the screen. So you can ask the students whether they recognize this song, or what does this song tell us about the plot of the film and the narrative that's going to follow. Has anyone recognized this intro music? Feel free to write it on the chat. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to leave it to you to find out. So when, after a few seconds that we have actually listening to the intro music, and we have asked the students to think about it as an icebreaker exercise, Then we can freeze the frame of the film and tell us and ask them about what the inspiration of the director could have been. What is the mood board? It is a great exercise to freeze frame and create our own mood board for the film we're watching. Today, we're watching the film of Abbas Kiarostami, but this set of exercises, 10 lessons plus one, and are adaptable and transferable to any kind of short film that you can show in the classroom. This is a 10 minutes film, so it's ideal for screening in the classroom. After having listened to the film music, we can also ask them what is the opening line of the film. So all four groups are assigned with different questions. The first group, we ask them to imagine the first three words, the entry lines. Why these three words? Why do they think those three words could actually work? Second group, what are they about? Third group, who says them? Is it the first narration? Is it the narrator? Is it the third person? In third person, it's important to talk about the narrator styles in a film. And the fourth group is about what role do they play in defining the storyline. Now, in lesson plan 4, we watch a few more seconds, 1 or 2 minutes of the film, and then freeze it to a point that it gets really interesting for the storyline. Let me just do it again. Okay. I got this. Okay, sorry. Okay. Nikos, can you give access?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Wait, so I thought it was, I was like sort of not, maybe I wasn't paying as close attention as I should have to what he was playing with. I thought it was a soccer ball, but maybe it was something else.
No, it was not a soccer ball, but let's see if someone else has recognized because it's an old film. It's a 70s film.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece, but the definition, it's not the best definition. So, Ioana Canari, yes. Ioana, yes,
Yes, hello. Can you listen to me?
yes,
Okay, I think it's like a tin, a can or something that they used to have food inside, and it was like a rubbish or something, and it was like a tin playing with it.
yes. Well, it is actually a team, yeah, and he's using it like a ball to throw
Yeah.
and get himself entertained with. So yes, it is a team. And have you noticed what this boy is actually holding on his arm, under his arm?
Not to be honest, but something like a book or something. Maybe he's heading to go somewhere.
He has his books. Let's see, and let me try. So this is a bread that he's holding under his arm. It's Iranian bread, this thin loaf of bread. And if we had someone from Iran, they could have seen that. And what did you suggest? Suddenly the music stops and changes the rhyme. And any suggestions what could happen next? There is some noise, so Nikos, because I don't see the hands. Yes, Joanna, and someone else?
Can I say my opinion or
Yes.
something?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
Uh, it sounds like a dog is barking or something, and he got afraid and he runs away to the opposite direction, and maybe the bread is will fall by his hands.
Yes, it's interesting. It is a dog actually because animal noise and dogs and nature are very popular themes in Abbas Kiarostami early filmography. They were supposed to be the innocent things you could actually deal with. So lots of animals, lots of kids, and a relationship between these two. Um, I'm not sure anyone recognized the song. Someone said they wrote on the chat about it's a French song, but it's actually the Obladi Oblada of Beatles song, which
Yes.
was late 70s. Sari, I would have thought you would have
It
found
took
it
me a
being
couple,
in
yeah, it took me
America.
a few seconds. I was like, I know this song.
Yeah, it's a different version, but it's Obladi Oblada, and it's a very childlike song. So I think it suits this film because it's a kids' film. And well, probably students do not know these songs. Maybe they have heard it, maybe not. But it would be interesting, another exercise, to listen to this song, today's version, and then see how and the lyrics and everything, and how it applies to this film. Um, I want to move further, watch the rest of the film. There are 8 minutes, so bear with us because we have many interesting exercises after that, and you can observe the film closely and maybe take notes. So that was the film. I don't know if you liked it or not. Every time I watch it, it leaves me with a smile. So this is the lesson plan after we have watched a couple of minutes of the film, and then again the 4 groups. We ask them about any particularities and surprises they notice on the film. The second group, any patterns, stereotypes, motives. It could be narrative patterns, technical patterns, aesthetic patterns. The third group tries to see similarities with their own experience. Very, very important and interesting exercise. I've seen it actually. We have implemented this workshop in many schools in Greece, mainland Greece and island Greece. And especially in the islands, they have seen so many similarities. Even this film was made in the 70s. It still has, for the older people, they remember their own childhood, but for this generation, they saw some similarities that we could play in the streets, with something not important like a tin or a bottle. And we are sometimes also afraid of animals. And these small alleys and streets, we have lots of them in Greece too. And actually, it reminds me recently, I was in this small town in Greece, Monemvasia, and there was an old guy walking in a small alley, and he was wearing exactly the same clothes as this old guy here. So he was going like this and holding a bag, like the guy in the film, a black bag. So I said, "Oh my God, this is exactly like the feature in the film of the bread and the alley." And I took a photo of this old guy today and put it in parallel with the guy in the film, the grandpa in the film, and they look the same. I made it also black and white, and they look the same. You couldn't tell the age, the difference between the ages. Of course, I forgot it to put it on my presentation to show it to you, but it was a nice exercise. Okay, let me move. Sometimes it's not working. Um, why is that? I want to share it again because I have some more exercises. Since I've done it. Okay. Here it is. Let's move. I'm gonna go back. So this was the point that we actually watched the whole film together in the classroom with the students. And then we asked them questions after they have watched the film. What is this film about, and how is this being projected in mini making? So, of course, they've seen the title of the film, they've seen the name of the director. Maybe they know him, maybe they don't know him. That's not the issue, but we challenge the students to tell us about what is this film about. Write down What is a signifier versus a signified, the obvious versus lateral meaning, and how is this meaning being conveyed through technical and aesthetic means? These are some taglines that I have found online, and without telling these taglines to the students, you can ask them yourselves, what could be the main taglines of this film? It could be in every alley, a lesson in humanity, courage begin on the smallest streets. I love all of them. A simple walk that reveals the world. The alley is narrow, but the heart is wide. So again, we're going deeper on focusing on the focal question of the story and the aesthetic and technical means it is being approached with. Here we use elements of critical viewing, film analysis, film identification, film aesthetics and representation. We can also explore the film language. We can tell them about the symbolism in the film narrative, the pose, the dialogues, the special effects. For instance, this film has a long pose at some point where you can see the dilemma and the fear on the eyes of the protagonist. He is not sure what to do, which way to go, what are the next steps he can follow. So you can see this agony and dilemma on his eyes with a close shot plan. And sometimes we also use some specific features to express either anger with a fist, or the rose usually is used to express romance in films, and the colors, like Inside Out film, the colors are here literal to the joy and sadness, Miss Sadness. We can also tell them and introduce them to the narrative style, such as the allegories of the film, the modular narration, whether it is a flashback or future narration. Now, they have watched the film. Of course, we ask them whether they like it or not. And this is the time that we can better explore the social context that the film was made of. So this is clearly a neorealistic movement film with minimal aesthetic elements, and maximalist content. So it has this great antithesis. It attempts to capture the viewer's interest through main protagonists. It's a child and a dog. In the first half of the film, we think the main protagonist is a kid, the young boy. In the second half, is a dog, or is it both of them? Feel free to explore. Other neorealist films include Vittorio De Sica, Eric Romer, Jacques Tati, mainly European film that they can explore. And this film raises issues about childhood insecurity and fear. For me, this is a film of individuality, of inner power, because it is centered on a single hero who gets into trouble and finds a solution to his problem on his own. This is a classic cinematic myth, especially in kids films, that they come up with a solution themselves at the end, at the catharsis of the film. So these films, of course, gives rise to some a discussion on the social political context present, the regime in Iran in the 70s. So they can explore better what the situation was there at the time, the prevailing circumstances, the period that the film was made, any influences and visions. They can talk about censorship and propaganda, because as I told you, Abbas Kiarostami chose this film about a boy and a dog because it's relatively an innocent subject. He can express through this inner power and expression, freedom of expression of the young boy through his film, and without getting into risky paths. So it has a documentary style aesthetics, and overall his first film were about animals, as I told you, nature and child protagonists, characteristic feature of overall Iranian cinema in the 70s. Very interesting. I want you to give your own title to the film. You are in the place of the students right now, so please write all the potential titles on the chat. I have taken some good titles. It is a dog's life. and some simplistic titles for primary school students, but very interesting. They like this exercise. So I give you a couple of seconds to write down on the chat, and then we'll get back to it. Lesson number 9. You can spot similarities and differences with other mediums. So you can spot whether you can explore, find, search whether this same story has been showcased in another medium. Could it be in a radio drama? Have you found a book with the same story, the friendship between a dog and a young boy? What other books may come to the student's mind? This is a deeper intertextual analysis. And here we compare about audiovisual versus print narration. There's a different language in print narration and a different storytelling in audiovisual and digital or TV storytelling. And in the contextual analysis is where we learn more about the director, the cast, the producers, if they know any other films of this director, or if they can think of any recent films. I'm sure there are lots of kids' films that the main characters are a dog and a young child. So feel free to experiment. More exercises, as I told you in the beginning, you can freeze the frame to either talk about it in more in-depth analysis. You can either create the poster of the film. I like that. So this could be potentially the poster to promote the film. You can either choose specific elements of the sound within the film and create the soundtrack of the film, or the behind the scenes trailer. We can ask students how they would promote this film online, in social media, or on a poster, on a campaign, and if they can find any making ofs available online. We can ask them how this film would be different if it was colored, of instead of a boy, it was a girl, it was another genre, it was an animation, for instance. Some plot exercises, role-playing, pantomime, cards playing, very popular in the class based on this film. And of course, discussing with them whether they have found themselves in a similar situation and what have they done or what would they do. And so that was 10 plus 1 lessons. The last lesson is to dig more and learn more about this Iranian exceptional leading film director. He was also photographer and producer. As I told you, 1969 founded the very important film department at the Institute of the Intellectual Development of Children and Young Adults. This is one of the foundation elements of CIFEJ as well. And he directed all his short films for kids. This was his cinematic debut in the 70s, The Bread and the Alley. And one tiny detail, the scene with the door of the woman that closes the door, was shot over 40 days. He was not satisfied with the end result until he took this scene for 40 times. Of course, he was a pioneer of the Iranian New Wave. He had said that when you take a tree that is rooted in the ground and transfer it from one place to another, the tree will no longer bear fruit. And if it does, the fruit will not be as good as it was in its original place. This is a rule of nature. I think if I had left my country, I would be the same as a tree. Kiarostami often used his own distinctive methods in filmmaking, minimalistic, enigmatic, approaching more complex themes in a minimalistic way, and combining realism and fiction. Although he stayed in Iran for most of his life, he died in exile, having been expelled by the Asma Nihezad regime and forced to make films abroad. And he's mostly well known for winning the Palme d'Or at Cannes 1997 of his adult film Taste of Cherry. This is from an article I found here in Cathemarini newspaper. He said that fortunately I can choose my audience, and I probably wouldn't want the nervous or the impatient ones. Cinema seats make people lazy. They expect you to give them all the information, all the details on the information. For me, however, question marks are the punctuation marks of life. And isn't that the essence of practicing film education in the classroom? I wonder. Some extra tips, and we're finishing. It's better, of course, to choose short films. It could be animation, feature films, but short films because the time frame is appropriate for screening in the classroom. You can select among other film genres. It's a great opportunity to introduce them with independent, non-mainstream, non-Hollywood films with a different section of cinema. And also, look for open educational resources and free archives. This film is available online in the World Internet Archives base, so feel free to go there and look for it and download it. And describe more role playing, assign role playing in the class, play quiz, design with the students, and also divide students into their own working groups and create their own film based, like a replica based on this popular kids film. Openculture.com has over 700 films online for free. And of course, this methodology is one of the main methodologies on practicing film education in the classroom by UNESCO in this UNESCO Media Information Literacy Curriculum for Teachers. That would be all for me. I want two things from you by now. I want you to send me your own suggestions and ideas. We have 10 lessons plans. Our goal is to create 20 lessons plans. So please send us in these emails, respectively, any ideas you might have on how we can implement, elaborate, and extend these 10 lesson plans to more. And the second thing is that it is better to practice these works, of course, in physical, with physical presence, because you get to see the reaction of the students. We've done that many times in the past. We have also done it with the British Film Institute. So feel free to either work with me and I can guide you around. You will have this presentation available from CIFEJ's website, and feel free to use it in your own way. That would be all for me now. We have almost half an hour for some questions. So I want this to have more interaction. I just want to apologize for my rough voice. Usually it's not like that, but it's the jet lag from traveling from Colombia back to Greece. So I'm a bit overwhelmed, but I'm really excited that I'm sharing with you this first educational webinar of CIFEJ. So let's go to the chat and then to the Q&As. Okay, I see some titles: Dilemma of Destination, The Alien of Life. Wow, we have someone joining us from Chile. Feel free to write down your country on the chat. It would be interesting to get this geography of people attending this first webinar. I see Canada, and any questions? Of course, this copy will be available. This PowerPoint will be available online, but mostly the recording will be available for you to use it as a guidance in the classroom. We have from Cyprus, from Greece. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any questions? Anything that you would like to ask, add, any wonders about the film? Did you like the film? Feel free to unmute. Oh, Isabel here. Hi, Isabel. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, can I ask
Yes.
a
Hi.
question?
Yes.
Um, So I'm here from Chicago, and I was a Chicago public school teacher for 20 years, and now I work for an organization that goes into schools, and for 30 minutes over 12 weeks, we look at a short film and discuss it. That's the ICMC, which I believe has been a longtime member of your organization, the International Children's Media Center. My question is, with these lesson plans, we focus on early childhood learners. Pre-K, kindergarten first, a little bit of second. Are you envisioning these lesson plans for older students? And also, how do you envision a teacher that isn't a filmmaker, because I am a filmmaker, creating a film in their class, like with their class? Are you wanting to advocate for a teacher to take on this task and have the freedom to do it? And of course, probably other countries might have a stronger creative education base than America does. We're very structured by standards and there's not much room in the classroom to be creative. So I wondered if you could give me a worldview on that and kind of your thoughts.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Actually, these lessons plans, yes, we have also adapted and practiced them in secondary education school students. Actually, it was there were the ages of 13 to 15 years old, so it's early secondary education, and it was with the same film. So I felt really intimidated because it was in a black and white film in teenagers who, they're not, it's very hard and challenging to catch their attention. So it was black and white. The resolution was not very good of the film. But I saw, and what my key takeaway was that they're really fascinating because it's an animal and a boy and the friendship between these two. So it is always attractive and it adapts to all ages. So yes, we can use this film or we can use another film for secondary education school students. If we want to introduce something about environmental issues, civic education, climate change, fake news, disinformation, we can choose some other short film from an open library, of course, and use the same lessons plans for that film. This is just the methodology and the model that is easily adaptable and transferable. Now, as you can see, these lessons plans, they're very simplistic. We don't ask from the teachers themselves to actually create their own film because we realize they're not filmmakers themselves. And at this point today that the students are screenagers and digital natives, they are actually in the better position to create their own films sometimes than the teachers. So this is about a critical analysis and getting to familiarize students with watching an alternative film in the classroom and trying to think out of the box and think of main concepts that lie behind the film. But having said that, in Greece, we are implementing a couple of educational projects and programs on how to create films in the classroom. And we are working with the British Film Institute in some study guides that we have produced that they are detailed on how actually to create a film in the classroom with short steps. So this is the content of another workshop, and this is something that we could focus in our next webinars. How to actually create a short film in the classroom, and we can use it as community to focus on that. But yes, this is about familiarization and getting to critical analysis, filtering, and social reflection on the opportunity of a film. But the creation of the film, it's another step, a little further, but not inevitable. But just need another approach.
Thank you. I also want to say I love the film. I think it was great. I think it could be used with all
I love
ages.
it too.
It was
I love it
amazing. So
too.
thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I think Katerina has raised her hand for some question.
Yes, can you hear me? Hello, hi Erin.
Hi, Katerina. Katerina is also our Athens moderator of CIFEJ. She's doing all the hard work behind rebranding and organizing CIFEJ administration, but she's also an expert on film aesthetics. So your point of view is very important for us, Katerina.
Thank you for this like inspiring and very useful presentation. And I found the exercise, the question regarding the title, both imaginative and useful in terms of critical analysis, because it allows children to think about choices, specific aesthetic filmmaking choices, and emphasis, where the emphasis is put. So I thought that this exercise with the title was both very imaginative and critical. And I would also like to mention that I was really impressed by by the film, because it was both ordinary and very rich in significance. It was an everyday moment that you, and at the same time it was meaningful. So yeah, it was both ordinary and meaningful. And I was thinking that the fact that the duration of the film was short, the fact that it was a short film, allowed this juxtaposition to take place. Maybe we could discuss further the pedagogical advantages of using short films in the classroom, apart from the practical, technical considerations of time, the films being brief, so being easy to use in the classroom. Are there any pedagogical, aesthetic advantages of using short films in the classroom for children? For example, let's say in an analogy, when we compare poems to more extended literary texts. So I had this question I thought we could discuss.
Thank you, Katerina. Yes, it's interesting because they have very rich semiotics behind the short films. So you have to put all the plot and all the narrative and all the storytelling and the scenario and the catharsis all in 10 or less minutes. So they're very rich in meaning. And that's why it makes them a bit challenging for young students to familiarize themselves. Because they have these all of these ideas and aesthetics and visual elements all brought up in 10 minutes. On the other hand, it's something that they will find it better to watch because, you know, today's students, the Generation Z, the Generation Alpha, they're used to watching half an hour films or TV series instead of an hour, 90 minutes feature film. So this could be adaptable as a start to catch their attention. But short films are a very important film genre because they're very rich in film analysis. And unfortunately, in Greece, I don't know how the situation is in other countries, you don't get to see short films elsewhere than the film festivals because short films are not on TV, they are not on the cinema. They used to be prior a feature film, a long feature film. There used to be some short film, but there was this regulation in 2010 that they were eliminated. So we don't get to see any short films otherwise than attending kids' film festivals. We have 3 or 4 major in Greece. So it's another element that they are popular. And we have these other student competitions called Have You Studied Cinema? And it's been going on for 50 years now. And this is the element that we described with the previous attendant, that the students make their own films. So we ask them to make their own films, short films, and they give us from 2, 3 to 11, 12 minutes short film all by themselves. Of course, there are amateur films, but we don't care about that because it's the students involved in all the development and production stages, and this is the added value on this exercise. So if they see a short film, maybe they would get inspired to create their own version for another school competition educational program. But anyone else that would like to comment on the short film added value in the classroom?
I have a comment on that. I think the beauty of short films is we can go anywhere in the world. If you were to do one or two of your lesson plans with a short film per week, then you can explore and take the children many places that they would never see before. I think your lesson plans like kind of go more in depth with one film, which is amazing if a teacher has the time. But another model would be you could use several short films and apply some of the different lesson plans and then take the kids more places, let them experience more times, more themes, and animation versus narratives versus documentaries. I think short film is a great vehicle to bring film to students. And I think you mentioned that earlier. We can go anywhere with a short film.
Yes, actually, it is the point that you are describing, that it is something that could actually be implemented in the classroom. And I was thinking now another exercise is that we could ask. Actually, these lesson plans, they can either happen in one, but mostly in 3 school hours, because the first assignment is where we watch the film and we are in the entry level of questions, and then we go deeper, looking further, listen further, and we go to the secondary third level of analysis, where we can focus more on the technical elements, the aesthetic elements that are used to convey the meaning. So it cannot happen only in one school hour. Also, we can ask the students to watch this film again in with their families, in their house, with their families and the siblings, to get their own reactions on watching the film together. That would be also interesting. And there's another question. How familiar are you with Abbas Kiarostami's ideas regarding educational theories in the film of critical thinking? It is interesting because, well, I chose this topic because, as I told you, it's a simplistic topic, a minimalist topic about a boy, a young boy, and an animal, and the friendship between these two eventually. But although it looks minimalistic, it's not minimalistic at all when you look deeper and further, because you can see some elements about Iranian regime at that time in terms of the. So the boy gets out of school, he's very well dressed, and he's probably in this village where we see no windows, everything is high walls, and all the doors are closed. So there is this not so much the outdoor activity, but the indoor activity. So the main family life was inside these walls where no windows are available. And so family life is happening inside these walls, and you could see that the woman who opens the door is very well dressed, and she has her hair done and everything. So she's they are free to express, but inside their house. And so it's a good experiment to see how things are going on today, not just in Iran, but in other places of the world, and make this comparison. I like all Abbas Kiarostami's early films. There are a couple of things that you can find and maybe use gradually in the next lesson. This is just the debut of his film, but there are other films about school life that kids can get attached to, because his popular theme on schools and young kids' life is very much prominent in his films. So I like that, and I like because it's relatively a slow film. You know, you have this time lapse where for couple of minutes, he's thinking, and you don't see the camera moving. So the students of today, find it relevant, boring. What are they doing? So I wanted them to familiarize not just with the story, but with the technical elements that are being used to convey this story. And I find it challenging for today, even for my kids. If I tell them you have to watch, let's watch together black and white film of the 70s, well, the younger one, who is 8 years old, would be more eager to watch it, whereas the 14 years old would say, oh, come on, really? I mean, so it's also a great opportunity and a challenge both to introduce that kind of film genres in kids. And last, in Greece, we have a low or non-kids film production in the last years. This is something that will benefit from bringing CIFEJ to Athens, Greece, to improve, to develop, to boost the kids film production also in Greece, because it's one of the most difficult tasks to create films for young children. Thank you very much for participating to our CIFEJ webinar. Feel free to send us, let me put the email also, to send us any other suggestions you might have on other topics you would like us to deal with. There's going to be one webinar at least per month for 2025 to 2026. And it's going to be our way of offering back to our members joint expertise and joint experimentation. Thank you, Doris. Thank you. So if there are no more questions, maybe we can end this webinar. Thank you very much for your time. Again, feel free to keep in touch. Let me just put the email. Okay. So thank you very much. Let's keep in touch. Please send us any suggestions, any ideas you might have. If you want us to present and actually practice in a school classroom, this webinar in physical or online format, we are available. And let's celebrate 2025 UNESCO Global Email Week with this important webinar that deals with film literacy, a focus element of media and information literacy. Thank you very much. Let's stay in touch. Bye. And thank you. Can we review this webinar online? Well, you can send us your reviews on the email I posted on the chat, and we'll make sure to get back to you. Yes. Yes, it is available online. It's in the openculture.com film library. If you put it, you can also find it on YouTube. So one of the reasons that I chose this film, because it's freely available. It's important and it is copyright secured. So it's as a free open educational resource. Yes, and there is another film that also we can deal with it. It's The Red Balloon. So if you're interested in another workshop on The Red Balloon, award-winning film of the 60s, we are here to organize this for you. We have the emails of all the participants through the registration, so we'll send you back all the information regarding this webinar today. Thank you. Thank you.